It's a story that's definitely not what the doctor ordered. A Georgia healthcare worker has been arrested for allegedly twerking on her disabled patients. And no, this is not an episode of Nurses Gone Wild. It is real, and it's shaking up more than just her career. Let's dive right in. For Law and Crime, I'm Kennedy Walker. 19-year-old Lucretia Formosa Coyan of Loganville, a city outside of Atlanta, has been arrested on one felony count of exploitation of a disabled person. In a viral video, Coyan, who's dressed in what appears to be medical scrubs, is seen dancing as if she's performing at a club on the head of a shirtless, disabled man, all while he sits helplessly in a bathtub. But it does not stop there. She casually reaches into her pocket, pulls out a pill box, and without a second thought, pops a pill into his mouth. And this was not the only time. In another clip, Coyan is back at it. She's seen straddling and dancing provocatively over a different disabled man who sat in a chair helplessly, proving to those unpleased by her actions that this wasn't just an isolated incident, but an alleged pattern of abuse disguised as a joke. But in a now deleted video she posted on TikTok, Coyan says it isn't what it seems.
All I gotta say for now is angles play a big part, but we're gonna get into that another time.
The 19-year-old then takes a jab at those upset with her online and seemingly defends her actions, claiming the man who she's dancing on in this video can speak.
A lot of people in the comments talking about sexual assault, rape, just all type of dumb, non-verbal. Trust and believe, he's verbal.
She then shares another video where you can hear someone talking. This time, she covers their face.
Around here, he be verbal, and I got proof. What you say?
I'll get my hug.
You want to get a hug?
Yeah.
Okay.
The teen says she wants those who find her video inappropriate to stop jumping to conclusions.
He looks very aware and comfortable to me, so y'all need to stop jumping to conclusions, even though, yeah, I do see how he look, but trust me, it's not that. Enough is enough.
Despite her opinions, Coyan was arrested and charged. In a statement released by the Loganville police chief, he states Coyan was dancing in a provocative manner above a disabled person, which resulted in the execution of both a search and arrest warrant. According to Georgia law, anyone found guilty of exploiting a disabled adult may face a prison sentence ranging from 1 to 20 years, a fine of up to $50,000, or both imprisonment and a fine. The viral video has now been seen tens of thousands of times. Police say the teenager's employer was SNL Healthcare LLC, a healthcare facility in Georgia. According to the company's website, care services include daily health monitoring, medication management, assistance with dressing, grooming, and bathing, home-cooked meals, and laundry services. And this is the company's mission statement. At SNL Healthcare, our philosophy and vision is simple: to provide the highest quality care and excellent services while promoting the social interaction of seniors in a nurturing, family-like environment. It goes on to state, each member of our team is committed to respecting your loved one as an individual with unique wants and needs, regardless of their current level of independence or capability. Our staff strives to treat each senior with dignity, honor, and respect, creating an atmosphere for elderly citizens to live in comfort. But not sure respect meant this. To unpack more with me, I'm joined by attorney Perry Fallick. Perry, this isn't the bedside manner that they teach in school.
No, it's definitely not. This is definitely a new generation crime that we witnessed.
For sure. So first, the defendant in this case is facing a charge of exploitation of a disabled person. Can you explain what that charge means and what the legal implications are?
Yes, I can. So it's a unique charge, but actually fits squarely within the facts of this case. And it involves knowingly and willfully exploiting either a disabled adult, an elderly person, or a resident of a hospital or nursing home. So that's basically exactly what we have here, which is probably why that's the only thing that's being charged in this case.
And we know that her actions were filmed and posted on social media. How does the fact that this was shared online affect the case legally?
Well, because knowingly and willfully, or the intentional act, is a part of the crime or an element of the crime, the fact that she broadcasted it on social media, then posted another video and commented on it, it's going to be very, very difficult for her to argue that she didn't know what she was doing when she was twerking on this guy's head, and then she went ahead and posted it for however many people, thousands of people saw it and liked it. To say that she didn't know what she was doing at the time, it's going to be hard to argue that.
Yeah, and the defendant may say that this was a joke, which it's clear something like this is very, very serious. But if she does claim this, do you think that it could hold any legal weight?
I don't think so in this case because whether she knew it was a joke at the time, she knew what she was doing, and that's the important thing. So she knew when she was posting it that it was a joke, that she meant to post it. It's not something that happened by accident, or it's not that she didn't know what her actions were at the time that she did them. She's a professional in a setting, and I'm assuming she has some type of training and expertise and knowledge that were provided to her either by her employer or by her own schooling and education. She knew better than to post that video.
And in one of the videos, she said that one of the guys actually wasn't nonverbal. Does that hold any legal standing if she's saying that, oh, he may have actually enjoyed it?
It does not in this case because the terms of the statute that she's claimed to have violated are very clear that all the person has to be is either elderly or disabled or both. It doesn't matter whether they are verbal or nonverbal. At a minimum, this looked like an elderly individual. So whether or not you want to argue about how disabled, it seemed clear that the person was disabled. So the terms of his disability are really irrelevant under the statute.
Yeah. And lastly, in your opinion, what can health organizations do to prevent situations like this from happening, both from a legal and ethical standpoint?
Yeah, well, from an ethical standpoint, they're a professional, professional medical providers, so it behooves them to train their staff accordingly. And from a legal standpoint, if they do not, they're potentially subjecting themselves to civil liability for negligent hiring or negligent supervision, because as the employer, they're responsible for the acts of their employees. So although in this case there wasn't doesn't appear to be physical damage or thankfully any type of long lasting damage to this individual, which doesn't really matter from a criminal standpoint, but would come into play from a civil liability standpoint in terms of the damages that anybody would potentially claim, that's something that the employers in these situations are going to be want to be very careful about, because if this incident went a different way and the individual ended up getting hurt, it's going to be them who someone's going after, not necessarily the individual, the woman in the video.
Right. It seems like now these companies are going to have to make something, in their rules, like no posting on TikTok because,
Yeah,
things can really blow up.
which might have already been a rule, and if so, this woman is going to be fired on top of being criminally charged if she wasn't already. But I would think that's probably a pretty standard rule. If it's not a rule, it's only because it seemed obvious to the employers that they didn't need to post something like that. But now this may be an example for similar employers and organizations all across the country to point to and say, okay, don't do what this woman did here, just in case wasn't clear beforehand.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. This is definitely a case that we are going to be watching very closely. And according to police, the suspect, Koy Ann, was booked into the Walton County Jail and held on a $7,500 bond.
Thank you very much for having me.